I played this when I was a kid, 2006, 2008, on my dead PC, on a fucking XP, on a fucking XP Windows XP. Now, hopefully they're gonna make a good remake or remaster. I don't wanna, however you wanna call it. There are 2 videos. Let's watch them. They're very short. In my opinion, Battle Force so far is good. The multiplayer wise is very good. Multiplayer wise, Delta Force is very good. There might still be problem with cheaters. I haven't encountered any, but multiplayer wise, it gives me back the old Battlefield 3 and 4 vibes, which are my favorite battlefields. Let's see if they keep up the hype and the good mechanics and everything for the single player campaign tomorrow. Actually excited to play it. On the Black Hawk Down. Yep. The environment looks good. It's all in a real engine, if I'm not wrong. The old Black Hawk Down was amazing. We already seen. Oh my god. Okay. Not perfect. That smoke effect on the. Oh my god. Oh, those smoke effects on the helicopters they were good. I mean, we know that graphically it's gonna look stunning, right? And the point is also Delta Force. Alright. Depends if they make the AI good and stuff like that. Solid. No need to reload that, but okay. Okay. To be fair, they didn't have all that equipment. Okay. Probably a scripted event. It's lagging a little bit. Okay. Yeah, you have to arrest them. Yeah, okay, remember that. Cutscene.
Sergeant! I need extra security on these trucks!
Yeah, okay, that's for the movie. After they actually got the people and the convoy started going again. Black Hawk Down, number 1. Ooh, they even made the character go nuts inside of the helicopter. Okay. No one gets left behind.
We got a Black
Oh yeah.
Hawk down, we got a Black Hawk down. All personnel, proceed to the crash site immediately for rescue.
Do you play like... Can you switch between players? Like between soldiers? I mean, it's a co-op mod, you know? It's supposed to be a co-op mod anyway, so... Yeah, this is when you free them. Okay, it doesn't show too much, to be fair. It doesn't show too much. But, let's see about this one. Campaign first impressions
Team
from
Jade's
IGN.
Delta Force Hawk Ops revival was always planned to be an ambitious attempt at the modern military shooter in 3 distinct flavors. Large tactical, team versus team multiplayer, escape from Tarkov-inspired extraction shooter, and a focused, high-energy single-player campaign. The warfare and operations modes...
No. Vai piano. Vai da tua nonna allora? Okay. By the way, that was lagging.
Flavors. Large tactical,
like I saw
team multiplayer,
big lag
from
spike there.
Tarkov-inspired extraction shooter, and a focused, high-energy single-player
Yep.
campaign.
Yep,
the
that's
warfare and operations
ugly.
modes
Oh my
launched
god.
last year to mostly positive reception, but the single-player campaign, a remake of the original Black Hawk Down game, inspired by the 1999 book that inspired the 2001 movie, was still in the oven cooking up a lot of intrigue. I finally got some hands-on time with a small selection of its missions ahead of its launch, and while I can confidently say that it does genuinely capture the spirit of an old-school, turn-of-the-century shooter campaign, there are still enough unanswered questions that being guardedly optimistic is the only answer I could come up with after my time with it.
Okay.
It's going to be pretty tough for people who didn't play the original game 20 years ago to compare it to Team Jade's modern interpretation directly, since it's not currently available digitally and physical copies of the old PC, PS2, and Xbox versions are becoming more and more scarce every year. But I was one of those people who was waiting in the waves of the military shooter revolution at the time.
That game was pretty good. I remember it. I don't think I finished the whole campaign, but just because I was a kid, that was too difficult.
The first Call of Duty launched the same year as Black Hawk Down, and Battlefield 1942 dropped the year prior. But I distinctly remember Black Hawk Down having some standout gameplay features that really raises the bar for the genre as a whole. It featured big, sprawling level maps that offer multiple ways to approach objectives. Some mission sequences would change dramatically depending on the current task, taking you from the back of a Humvee to an on-foot standoff with ambushers to a hurried escape via helicopter, all in the same chapter. And bullet physics and gun handling, specifically the more realistic projectile speeds, bullet drops, lethality, and recoil, made skirmishes less arcadey and more dangerous. Mixed with the absolutely arid checkpointing...
It's missing the big important part though. That was not the big important part. The actual important stuff about Delta Force, Black Hawk Down, at least in my opinion, was that you could already command your troops. You already had the command options to move your troops around, follow you and stuff like Arma basically does right now. Which of course was in its early stages. It's still difficult. Arma is still a pretty a mass kind of with AI. And you commanding them because it's difficult to do it, but still. Delta Force Black Hawk Down was...
Black Hawk Down was one of the toughest games in the genre.
Jumpers, proceed to the landing zone. Roger that. Roger.
Team Jade's Black Hawk Down certainly comes from a place of reverence for the old game. Obvious in its way that it tries to capture the old school style shooting, but also the effusive praise the game director Shadow and designer Novak laid on the other old work. When we played the original in cafes so many years ago, it was mind-blowing, said Joe Meng, PR manager of Team Jade, translating on Shadow's behalf.
Oh, that's not because of why you reload like that.
Playing the initial mission, where we infiltrated the city in search of the enemy stronghold via a rooftop from a building nearby, the tense exchanges of fire between my squad of 4, all played by other humans in co-op, and the enemies proved that keeping bullets dangerous was a top priority in their translation. It didn't take much to drop us to dangerously low health, and that health did not restore itself after being out of combat for a bit. Only specific health restoratives could get us back to ship shape, and only medics, one of the 4 classes available to choose from, could provide them.
But if you want to play single player, what about it?
Once we got out to the street, progress became slightly less linear. This isn't an open world map, and there was a clear target we had to infiltrate, but the path there felt open-ended. My squad, split into pairs, tiptoed down both sides of the street, following some NPC teammates and clearing buildings that we passed on our way to the objective. In this case, a hotel under the control of rebels who were holding hostages somewhere in the building. We entered the building through the front, where the heaviest fire was being exchanged from the lobby plaza to our entrenched spot in the entrance. We could have found a side door and attempted...
Eating dick. I am already eating a dick. This review is shit. I'm telling you why. This review is shit because it's telling you feelings. It's trying to tell you the feeling of the game, what he felt. Like, it tries to make you imagine how it goes. It doesn't show it. Why? Because the game developers doesn't want them to actually see that yet, since it comes out tomorrow. Why? I'm scared of it. I'm scared of the parts they're not showing. And not only that, if it's only meant for co-op, then me, who doesn't have any friends, and even the game is free to play, I don't have any games that I don't want to play this type of game, I'm just gonna... Can I play it by myself? You know?
to flank the lobby shooters as well.
I think that's a fair question to
As I
ask.
found out later. And though you don't have Hitman levels of freedom, it is refreshing to know that if this Black Hawk Down has difficult choke points, the answer may lie in just finding a safer road. Shadow mentioned that the feeling of relief and reward of overcoming stacked odds was a driving sensation in the design, and this was a great example of it.
How much longer?
As I said, feeling.
What?
This mission was a little more linear than the next one we tried, which saw us sprinting through a claustrophobic
I see a lot of problems with FPS.
shanty town,
Like a
jumping to
shit ton
get
of
to the
problems
crash
with
Black Hawk
FPS.
helicopters.
Yeah.
The mission's pace
It's so
and
laggy.
setting was very reminiscent of the original's Valiant Heroes mission, which featured a maze of buildings players had to navigate while freeing stranded friendly soldiers from incoming militia. Both used the labyrinth as an advantage for the enemies, who could pop up around corners without warning. But where the original made you differentiate between hostile militia members and disgruntled civilians, penalizing you for harming the latter, this updated version treated everyone in the branching alleyways or dusty markets that wasn't you as an enemy.
Visibility of the target area is poor. You're on your own to find the landing site.
I think it's gonna
Team
be a
Jades does add
flaw.
snipers who can shoot players from long distances from the relative safety of clock towers several blocks away, uses modern environment design trends to make the city dense with small open shacks and streets to navigate, and checkpoints that bottleneck the sprawling neighborhoods into points of entrenched resistance
There
where
should be
more
a Beretta,
direct
by the
assault
way,
is
the
required
pistol.
to continue. This is where the difficulty was its most intense, as enemies appeared from all directions, constantly moving while obscured by buildings and searching diligently for angles to take us by surprise.
Okay.
I did miss the detail of having to show some semblance of triggered discipline under these conditions, though. It was certainly engaging and fun, but even in the face of obvious danger, it felt like a step backwards from the kind of provocative design of the original. And in our limited test,
Yeah.
we only tried out 2 of the 7 total missions in the
2 out of
campaign,
the 7,
but
okay.
neither gave the sense of dynamic scenario switching like the original's River Raid, which starts as an on-foot trek across the desert,
To be honest, it's not like the old game was that open world. Delta Force, I played Delta Force 2 and Delta Force Black Hawk Down. That's the only games I played. And I remember then very well that basically it's a fake open world. It's still a big map. It's kind of like literally Arma. Take Arma, a small fraction of Arma, really, really small part of the map. You have an operation and there are multiple points of interest in which you can go and find intel. There are secondary objects maybe, or multiple objects on the same map, and you have to do all of them. And the point is with Black Hawk Down is it was never like Delta Force 2. It's not like you have objective at this part of the map and this part of the map, and you have to go from point A to point B, or do point B and then point A. Delta Force Black Hawk Down has always been linear. It always has been. It's not like, oh yeah, I can take this from the right to the left and behind. No, you can take it from the left to the right and the front. It's still a 2D kind of thinking. It wasn't full 3D. Delta Force 2 had it, because that literally you can choose whatever path you fucking want to do the objective. Delta Force Delta Force Black Hawk Down though wasn't like that. At least not in every single map. So I think they're missing the big point here. It's that just it's made for multiplayer. And in multiplayer, as a multiplayer, you have to focus on different topics, different things that are not as important as in a single player. Like they focus too much on gun feeling and project. That's not important. That's not actually important, because we know that the game is gonna have good shooting fucking mechanics, because the multiplayer has been out for what, months now, and to make a good campaign you need good missions. They are well established with story. Okay, these are scenarios with story, and that's literally should be the important part of it in a game design perspective, in my opinion. And gun mechanics go into the secondary importance part, because like it's more important to have a good game that feels good, that feels like being in Mogadishu during the Black Hawk Down operation. You know? We already know that the gun mechanics are going to be great, as I said. Why not focus on the other aspects? The immersion, the actual. Why not put in actual civilians? They are not hostile to you. Then you can cause civilian casualties. I'm not saying that you have to, but I'm just saying that it will make it more real. You know, having militiamen behind actual civilians, and you have to shoot. That was the reality of it. It would actually just make the game better, in my opinion. Fucking hell, I already feel
Turns
like
into
it's gonna be a
frantic car chase
complete
through a minefield, then transforms
fail
into
tomorrow
a
for
Metal
me.
Gear Solid 3-esque tiptoe through a Somalian river full of crocodiles, and then
Plus, this fucking review is shit.
finally finishes with a multi-stage raid on a village. Of course, this, or something equally as energetic, could be in the full 3 to 4 hour campaign, and I won't discount this remake's dedication to the original's boldness of mission design before deploying myself when it launches on February 21st.
This review is shit, by the way, EGN. This review is shit.
For more on Delta Force, don't miss our review of the multiplayer version that is out now. And for everything else in the world of video games, stick with IGN.
Fuck off, bro. Your review is shit. Let me tell you that. That review was awful. By the way, we have